What is good, YouTube? This your boy Aaron.
It's Brian. Salute.
And this is the Courtside View podcast. And today, make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell, follow the socials as well because we post up on social media. And let's continue. All right, let's go to the next topic. I want to talk about so the NFL draft. It's getting closer and closer and closer. I want to ask you this.
In about a month and 2 days.
Yes, man. It's gonna be so good. I want to ask you this, like as somebody that has heard these terms before, draft for need, draft for the best player. Where are you on that? Do you believe in drafting for need, or do you believe the philosophy just draft the best player?
I think where you are in the draft and what kind of roster you have should determine your draft strategy. Most of the time, I'm team draft the best player because at the end of the day, you draft for need. Sometimes you pass up on a better prospect, and when instead of going BPA, you get a guy that you probably really don't need, but he could turn out to be an All-Pro player. So like that's where I'm at with it. That's why I'm like, for the Cowboys at 24, if there's a tackle there, say like Grant Barton or Jordan Morgan or something like that, someone like that there.
Amarius Mims or something like that?
Yeah, Amarius Mims or A.D. Mitchell. And I'm just like, I know we need a tackle, but A.D. Mitchell could be something special.
Yeah.
He could be like a really high-end wide receiver too. Could really change the offense. We could find someone to blight. Like you can mitigate a little pressure. You can't create separation with no sorry wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. And remember Michael Gallup, he was your wide receiver 3, so it's like and he wasn't good. He was trash.
He was terrible.
I told you. Hey, I told you.
Tolbert, he ain't ready yet. So
hell nah, hell no.
So yeah, it really depends. I'm mostly best player available. You look at all these teams that draft for need year after year, and they're like, well, they don't produce no dudes. Like, look at the Raiders. They draft for need all the time, and they stink. But versus the Ravens, they're like, listen, we got this, but we still gonna get this guy anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They got Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
They got and like the Jets, they draft pretty much BPA as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm,
they could have took a lineman or something last year, but they took Will McDonald.
Yeah, because all the really good linemen were gone, so they're like, man, let's just go best player available.
Exactly. So that's where I'm at with it, and like BPA and like versus a top 10 pick. See, once you get to like the top 10 territory, now we go from BPA to floor or ceiling.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's a whole different discussion. Everybody knows I'm floor guy. But yeah. So I'm BPA. I'm team BPA for the most part.
See me. I agree.
Unless the guy you need is at the top of the draft. Like if he's like 2-3 in his position group for the draft, then I could be okay.
Yeah, justifiable.
Exactly.
Like for instance, you need like a tight end, and dudes like tight end 1. Yeah.
Like if Brock Bowers on the board, you need a tight end. You better take Brock Bowers. Yeah. But if Quentin Johnston is on the board, you need a wide receiver.
Hell no. Nope. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
We could trade back and get something. Trade back and get something.
That's another thing. Trading down. It's like
a lot of you would think a lot of teams would trade down more when their board gets washed out, but it seems like they get pressured and they're like, okay, we need to get somebody.
Because they're scared that, this player, like this position, if we trade down, we're not going to get what we want. We're not going to get the value that we want. So let's just draft the player,
draft the dude,
overdraft him.
Yeah, overdraft the guy. We don't really believe. I'm like, man, trade the pick.
Trade down,
get another second. Like, come on now.
And see, that's when
the real draft. Anybody could draft in the first round, but once you get to the second and third, day 2 pick, that's when the real teams that know how to draft really show up. The draft isn't won on day 1.
Yeah, this is my problem with the Packers. They just draft for need, because these past few years, like in the first round specifically.
Didn't y'all draft Van Ness last year?
Yeah, and he still has time, but he hasn't like really exploded.
that much. He made like a couple plays against the Bears, but he hasn't really made a whole lot of impact. And the one year I remember we drafted a corner, right? And that corner, I remember everybody was clowning. Yeah, everybody was clowning. It's like, you drafted him this early? And I'm thinking to myself, like, yo, we could have had this receiver. You draft Eric Stokes. I get it. We need a corner. But come on now. Like, that pick specifically, get the value for that pick. Don't overdraft. And I am team best player available.
And think about it. When you think about it like this, say if you do draft a really good guy that can replace a starter on your team, and the starter goes to another team when it's time to pay him some money, you get a comp pick in return.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's like a lose-lose. Mm-hmm. You get a better player and you get a comp pick. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. And see, the thing is that you can never have too many players in the same position. Like, okay,
like depth positions like edge rushers and corners.
Guys get hurt all the time.
And linemen, like you can't have receivers.
Yeah,
even running backs. Like you can't have too many of those.
Unless it's a quarterback. That's a different story. But regardless, like, guys get hurt all the time. You're gonna need to fill that need. You're gonna need to fill that position. So it's like, why would you not go best player available, unless you're in the top 10? Because then that's a different story. But you got to go best player available at the end of the day. Like if you have 3 good receivers, get a 4th one. Who cares?
That's why I like what the Vikings and Seattle did. They had DK and Tyler Lockett. They said, we're going to get JSN anyway. Vikings said, we got the best wide receiver in the league. We still going to get Jordan Addison. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, man. That's just the way it should be, man. A lot of these teams, they just don't think that way. They just think, oh, we need to get a need. We need to get this need. But, dude, if you're like at a certain pick and there's a guy that's like immensely talented, why not just draft that player and worry about the need later?
Most teams aren't in a position to draft for need because they're not competing for anything. Like the Chiefs, they could get away with drafting for need because, well, they perennial AFC championship attendees and all of that. Mm-hmm. They can afford to draft for need. Like the 49ers can afford to draft for need because they do work in free agency and they just have a really good all-around roster. But teams like the Jets and like the Patriots, like, y'all better get the best player on the board.
For sure. Like, yeah. Especially this draft. Like, you have tackles, you have wide receivers. Man, you better take advantage.
There's some few corners out there too. You better, y'all better.
What's it with Nate Wiggins?
Yeah.
Nate Wiggins, from Clemson. I remember he did a number on Xavier Legette. I saw them clips. But yeah, man, like just like that's just how I am. I just hate when teams just do that all the time. Like, dude, just go with the best player. Like if I remember when CeeDee Lamb slipped to you guys. Like
that was crazy. I don't know how that happened.
CeeDee Lamb, it's just like, bro, just draft CeeDee Lamb.
I don't know what film dudes was watching. I understand Judy because his routes were phenomenal. Mm-hmm. But I was like, CeeDee's clearly the best receiver in that draft. I don't know what these teams would think. That's why I say teams suck at drafting.
They do. It's so funny how, like, every year it's the same stuff. It's like the teams that are always good at drafting are going to be good at drafting, and the teams that aren't good at drafting are always not going to be good at drafting. Raiders just suck at drafting. That's just how it is. And the Cowboys, for whatever reason, y'all do good in the draft. Because why? Sometimes
that shit was kind of a stink.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
But previous years, Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, Trayvon Diggs, y'all did good. Y'all did really good. Another thing when it comes to the draft, so like obviously Jayden Daniels and Drake May, there's just continuous conversation about those two guys as prospects.
Trying to turn on Jayden Daniels, say he can't throw on a run and stuff.
It's becoming very weird.
People are just bored at this point.
Each week, it's just something new.
Yeah.
It's, Jayden Daniels, he's the clear number 1, or he's clear number 2. And the next week, it's like, are y'all crazy? Like, Drake May is clearly better than Jayden Daniels. At the end of the day, it does not matter where they get drafted. It's the team that they get drafted to and what is around them. Whoever gets drafted to the Commanders is starting day 1. Marcus Mariota is not good. Marcus Mariota is a QB3 at best. And see, that's the problem. That's another thing. Teams that just can never get the quarterback right, do shit like that. They get a guy in free agency that's clearly not a backup, is a QB3 at best, and they say, "Oh, he's gonna compete with the QB coming out." No, he is not. So here's the thing: if you're the Commanders, if you're a fan of the Commanders, think about this: the QB you draft will have to play day one because Marcus Mariota stinks. Who do you believe is ready to start day one for the Commanders? It's Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels he's the more pro-ready prospect. It's not about who's more talented. It's about who fits the team and who could start right away. It's Jayden Daniels. He's more fundamentally sound. He gets the ball out quick. You could tell he reads the defense pretty well. And he's pretty fast. He's a really good runner. The only thing he doesn't do, he doesn't slide, like we all know. And he's pretty skinny, and he's very frail. He's very skinny. But he's 6'3". He could always get bigger. So, who do you believe can start day one for your team? I believe it's Jayden Daniels.
Yeah. From a source, I'm not going to say who the source is. He said he wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders go Jayden Daniels at 5. I mean, at 2.
Drake May, you have to sit him down.
I don't think
it
so.
Doesn't really. You really. I understand. Like, listen, I understand.
First of all, I don't believe in sitting down
really?
top 5 QBs.
You really think?
No.
What? Even if the team stinks?
No, just throw him out there.
What? You're crazy. So Bryce Young. So it was cool that the Panthers started Bryce Young year one.
No, it was stupid that they traded up to draft him in the first place.
But
that wasn't a contending roster.
Okay, but you just said that I'm all for throwing him out there. But they did that for Bryce Young, and he struggled. And it wasn't because it wasn't his fault. It's because of the roster. But see, the thing is, when you throw a QB out there and they develop bad tendencies because they're afraid, because their line stinks, so they're going to have these tendencies that because of the roster around them, like for instance, Bryce Young, he's so scared that, the line is not going to be able to hold up that he throws the ball too soon. He holds the ball too long.
But the thing is, I didn't see that with Bryce Young last year.
What did you see from Bryce Young?
I saw Bryce Young stay in and deliver throws plenty of times in that pocket.
Okay.
I don't think Bryce Young, Zach Wilson, on the other hand, that's a different story. Bryce Young, I don't think he has those problems.
You don't think he has those problems?
No.
Okay. Well,
I think he'll be better this upcoming season.
I do think too, because they have a new head coach. I believe Dave Canales. He's really good when it comes to offense, and I do think they got those two guards. They got those two guards, so that's going to really help him out. And second round, they're going to have to really do good when it comes to drafting in the second round. Like, they're going to have to get a receiver. They better get a receiver.
They have to.
And
Mingo is trash.
Yeah, Mingo is trash, and Adam Thielen is old.
Did they sign? What wide receiver did they sign?
They traded for Deontay Johnson, which is pretty good. I mean, he's a route runner, so that's going to be good. But they're going to have to draft a receiver in the second round. He better hit.
Maybe Xavier Legette.
Yeah, Xavier Legette. But then they tried that with Jonathan Mingo, where it's like the guy, the talented guy.
Mingo.
He's way better than. He's way better than Mingo. Way better than Mingo. But they better not draft a guy like Troy Franklin.
They both went to South Carolina, didn't they?
Who?
Didn't Mingo play South Carolina?
Mingo went to
Did he go to Texas?
He went to Ole Miss.
Oh, he did? Oh yeah, he did go to.
He went to Ole Miss. Yeah.
Yeah, man. But I mean, like I said, just throw him out there. If you think this guy's gonna get rattled because the team isn't all that good, you shouldn't draft him in the top with the top 5 pick.
No, man, nah. The team stinks. If the O-line stinks, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You get a veteran savvy quarterback and you have them play to start, and then next year when the team is better, when they have talent around him, that's when you put him out there. But don't do that. Don't do that. Get a guy like Sam Darnold, have him start the entire year, And then next year, you put the rookie QB out there. Let him learn. Let him sit. What's wrong? Bro, the formula is there.
You got to give him in-game reps.
The formula is there. We've seen it. We've seen what worked.
How many times?
What you mean how many times? Many times. Patrick Mahomes, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers. Who else? Just recently. But yeah, those are just the notable names. Even Justin Herbert didn't start day one. Now, he eventually played his rookie season, but he didn't start out.
Was Philip Rivers still on the team?
No, he wasn't on the team.
He was on the Colts by then?
Yeah, he was on the Colts by then. He was definitely on the Colts by then. But still, like, man, just don't do it, bro. Don't make that mistake. Unless the team is ready-made, unless they're like the Vikings, where there's, like, talent all over the place. You have the receivers. You have the O-line. Unless you have something like that, do not put your quarterback in a predicament like that. That's what happened to Justin Fields. They screwed him over because they put him in a bad situation. The coaching was on the hot seat. The personnel was trash. The O-line was trash. They were trying to change his mechanics, his fundamentals, and everything like that. And he was overthinking everything. That's the problem. Jets as well with Zach Wilson. Trevor, they almost screwed.
Just wasn't that good.
They almost screwed Trevor Lawrence. Day one. He started day one. And if Urban Meyer was still a coach, Trevor Lawrence would have been in the same situation as Justin Fields.
Yeah.
So, coaching, man, this stuff matters. It really matters. I'm telling you, there's not many C.J. Strouds. That was a dime a dozen. That was once every blue moon. I'm telling you. Don't start your QB day one unless you have the roster taken care of. Unless the roster is set, do not start your rookie QB day one. Sit the rookie QB.
I'm sorry. I don't believe in wasting a top 5 pick and keeping him on the bench.
You're insane. What's wrong with sitting for 1 year? If you have a coach that is under contract for like 3-4 years, for 4 or 5 years, they have time.
But I think you need the live reps.
You will just next year. Nah. You crazy.
Because Sam Howell was still garbage, even though he sat that 1 year.
4th round pick. A 4th round pick.
So why can't the 1st round pick just go out there and play?
No.
I say play him. I don't care.
It's just it doesn't work a lot. It just doesn't work a lot, man.
Then don't draft the dude day one. If you think he can't play day one, then don't draft him.
Patrick Mahomes sat for a year. What's the problem? What's the problem with that?
Well, that's because Pat Mahomes, like, people were saying he was, like, real raw coming out, and he couldn't read defenses and stuff like that.
They saying that about Drake May.
Drake May, he's raw, but, like, I don't think he's, like, that bad to where he can't play day one. Especially on the Commanders. At least they have receivers.
They have 2 receivers.
That's better than
they have no tight end.
Some other teams drafting in the
They have no tight end. O-line is trash. Cliff Kingsbury, we saw his track record with the Cardinals. You really trust the Commanders? You really trust Drake May can succeed with the Commanders?
It's a possibility.
Brian Johnson is the passing game coordinator.
I mean, Jalen Hurts turned out decent somewhat. He was the QB coach.
That's entirely different. You know, we already talked about this. He has no argument. He has no argument, people. He knows damn well, sit the quarterback. Don't put him in harm's way until the next year when you have more talent on the roster. That's just what you should do. That's like just putting him in harm's way that early just makes no sense. Unless the roster is constructed.
Then that's a coaching issue. Then the roster could be trash, but you still can set it up for your QB to get easy reads, easy looks. Maybe not try to make these long developing routes to where he's holding the ball in the pocket for 3 seconds in order to make waiting for somebody to get open. So now we see this is now we go from a scheme. This is a scheme and coach issue. Because if you know your team can't block, you know your receivers can get no separation. What are you scheming up to help your quarterback?
let me say this though. Like, how come there's so many failures? First round quarterback failures.
Like
They
I
starting
said,
early. They starting out from the jump, and it's just so many misses.
like I said, it's a scheme and coaching issue. Look at the teams they got drafted to. The Jets wasn't no favorable situation for Zach Wilson. First of all, he shouldn't have even been drafted that high. Let's start there.
But you're like, hey, I'm team. Throw him out there. Put him in the fire.
And he got burnt because the coaching and roster was trash. So
Exactly. So why throw him out there?
I'm expecting the coaches to do their daggone job and put the players in the best position possible.
You can't think that the coaches are going to do the job.
You see, you're thinking about this from a fan perspective. You got to think about this from a team perspective.
A team perspective.
You got to expect the best out of your staff. If the staff can't bring out the best in your players, then you should just fire them at this point.
Do you believe in the Commander's staff?
I don't think they're as bad as people.
I don't believe in
them.
them. I don't believe in the Commander's staff. And we're gonna get to grading the coach. We're gonna get to grading the free agency for the Commanders, but I don't believe in their staff at all. So
Well, I don't have a.
maybe I am looking at it from a fan point of view, but at the same time, like that's just me. If I don't believe in the coaching staff of the Commanders, then I don't think it would be a good idea to draft Drake May. Because they're going to start him day one, and I don't think Drake May is ready to play day one.
But Jayden Daniels is.
I do. I think he's more ready now.
I don't think the gap is that big.
I don't think it's that big either, but I do think from if you're looking at number one, Jayden Daniels started more games, and his film looks a lot better than a Drake May. Now you could say Drake May, the personnel, he didn't have the same personnel as a Jayden Daniels. I'll say that. Yeah. The O-line wasn't as good. I watched a lot of Drake May games. I know the offensive coordinator wasn't the greatest, but at the same time, I also hear, well, there are moments where they were able to block. The receivers were able to separate. He just wasn't able to read the defense. Who does that sound like? Justin Fields.
Well, I know Cliff Kingsbury said it's not going to be an air raid offense. And air raid offenses, you really don't have to read the defense much in those type of schemes. But he said it's not going to be like that. So I don't know.
I don't know, man. You know these coaches be lying.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? But I think
the way I see it though, if Drake May is coming from a system where he was able to put up solid numbers, even with the lack of team building around him, it wouldn't be far-fetched to say, well, he could probably make something shake in a similar situation in the league. Granted, while everyone is better at the next level, just floor to floor.
Yeah.
But he's also playing with NFL players. So
yeah, I like Drake May as a prospect more than Jayden Daniels. You like Jayden Daniels more as a prospect than Drake May. But at the end of the day, it comes down where you're drafted at, not when you're drafted, where you're drafted, what team you're drafted to. And I think Drake May going to the Patriots potentially.
I think any of them going to the Patriots is cooked food.
Really, you really think that? I think the Patriots might sit him potentially. While with the Commanders, I'm not so sure they're going to sit him. I think they're going to play him day one. I don't want that to happen to him. So that's just my way of thinking. And yeah, let's go to the next topic.
One time, hey, throw your hands to the sky.